Welcome, everyone. We are very excited to partner with you and share out information related to virtual and digital learning resources as available options for meeting the needs of individual students and broader professional learning community. Co-presenting with me today is Jeana Williams as well as Pam Sovis, and our moderator today will be Trent Saraceni. Our format will allow for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. We encourage you to enter your questions in the chat box at any time, and we will do our very best to answer them all as time allows. We are recording today's presentation, and we will email the link to the recording out in the PowerPoint later this week. We'll also make it available on our website. So the topics for today's discussion include digital learning options at no cost to districts, student-focused solutions, including teachers at discounted cost, and summer professional development opportunities tailored to support and grow teacher, leader, and school teams, and operationalizing digital learning systems and strengthening digital learning skills across the board. So let's take a look about these options. I think I skipped our goal for today on our great slide that Jeana found for us. But our goal today is to share ideas and resources that actually will help you as educators explore supplemental and/or complete digital learning solutions in support of individual students or groups of students in virtual, face-to-face, or blended learning environments. So now let's go into what these options look like. As you can see on the screen, we have two options, option A and B, and they're available still at no cost to districts. Option A is exactly like what we use this year, and it includes free digital curriculum and learning management resources secured with great grant funds through our state. Option B presents a new option to choose auto-graded asynchronous courses. We will dive deeper into what this looks like in a few moments, but this option basically allows for more frequent formative feedback to students without the need for students to upload work. Option C is also a new option. Content is still provided at no cost to districts, but the option to purchase teacher services at a discounted per student cost is now available. Demand for teacher service this past school year proved to be a much needed resource, and as a result, our partnership with Lincoln will continue to provide this add-on service for all Arkansas schools at a discounted cost. This could be a possible solution for districts facing teacher shortages in specific content areas with specific groups of students, or students that continue to choose a virtual option and need a complete or supplemental learning solution. Option D will continue to be a virtual option for districts in search of a broader, complete digital content solution. APSRC is an approved digital provider for the state of Arkansas and offers a broad set of e-resources available through a variety of digital providers. We have an online digital catalog that is searchable by provider and/or specific content. Pricing is also available in the online catalog. I'm going to demonstrate how to locate specific content in our catalog. And I'm going to ask Pam Sovis to join us. Pam, are you able to hear me?
I'm here, Mel, ready to go.
Okay. So Pam, why don't you help me help districts know how to navigate our e-resources catalog?
Absolutely. A couple things to point out. There are some different filter options at the top. For example, if you're looking for a specific subject area, you can filter on that. If you want to work with a specific course provider, you can select that. And you also have that grade range that you can play with and move as needed to look at the specific grades you're interested in exploring. But for now, let's just take a look. Go ahead and click on provider, Mel, and let's take eDynamic. eDynamic is one of our partners on this portal. They offer a great array of CTE courses. And as you can see, it shows the pricing. It tells you the length of the course. It gives you some information. We won't do that now, but if you click on the course itself, you can actually see more information about that course. And in most cases, I believe it even pulls up a syllabus. So there's a lot of things you can explore here. And if you note at the bottom of your screen, Mel, where it says 108 entries, there are 108 CTE options and electives through eDynamic of the over 3,000 courses that we have on this portal. And there's every, in my opinion, there's every imaginable course for grades K through 12.
I know there's been a big demand, and we've had a lot of calls and questions about career and technical coursework. So that's
right. One other thing that's important to mention, Mel, is that there is no contract required. If a school wants, they have one kid that wants 3D modeling, they can enroll one kid in that class and we'll bill them later. They just sign up, select the course, and we get the kids started, and then we send the bill. So it's a very easy process, no minimums, no maximums.
Awesome, Pam. So I see, like, for 3D modeling, the cost would be $260, but there's also an administrative fee, right, involved in
Yes.
that would be additional.
Yes, it's still great pricing because all of the courses on this portal have been negotiated to be discounted. So there's a lot of benefit to going through this portal for your additional digital courses.
Right. Is there anything else, Pam, that you would like to share while I'm on here?
The only thing I would mention is that we work with, I think there are 10 different course providers on this portal. So, you know, you've got a great selection. We can also get course demos as needed. So if somebody says, I'm interested in looking at Edgenuity's ELA 6th grade course, we can get them course demos to play in and explore before they make a commitment. They just need to reach out and contact us.
Thank you, Pam. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So again, that was a little bit deeper dive into option D, which is a full teacher-led solution. And notice on each one of these, we've put this information out there. We're going to visit them and wrap up again at the end, so you'll get to see this one more time. But again, A and B are options that you're familiar with through the Arkansas Ready for Digital Learning grant. The teacher is provided by the district, so it's content only and learning management system. We will continue to provide the auto enrollment piece through the one rostering service that we do in partnership with you to pull data out of your eSchool system and keep it fresh for you on that. The content itself has not changed in that there's still access to over 150 core and core elective courses, and full access to the digital library, which is going to possibly prove even more valuable as we go forward into next year when we have the need to possibly have more flexibility and accessing content at a prior grade level to be able to pull in for learning recovery moments. I think this is probably the biggest one that is new to us, and that is that option C, where you get the content because it's secured through the grant, and you also have, you know, we have access through the grant to also a learning management system, but this lets you kind of do an a la carte service for teacher service only. And that's just trying to think through and provide options for our schools that may find themselves in a unique need of a shortage, maybe in one area, or a need to serve some kids that are still in that virtual setting. So we will share how to reach out for more information about these options at the end of our presentation.
Okay, Mel, this is Trent. Got a quick question from Brian. He's asking if we use Lincoln Learning teacher-led option for, let's say, physical science, will the course be tailored to the Arkansas standards, or will the content just be based on what is already there in the Lincoln Learning course? Is it an Arkansas teacher? So you've got two questions there.
Okay, let me address the teacher part first. Arkansas standards, first of all, we have the correlation documents for all the course subjects out on our website. So the content, Brian, I'm not sure who the Brian I'm talking is, but the content is already, we already have the alignment documents out there that shows you which lesson correlates to which Arkansas standard. So that information is already out there for this year. As far as the teacher service piece, these are all licensed teachers. Pam, do you want to set that record straight so I don't mess up on that? I mean, we know.
I'd be happy to, Mel. The teachers are not necessarily Arkansas certified, but all of them have the Arkansas background check, which is the requirement for digital teachers in Arkansas. So they will have that completed, as well as going back to your first question, Brian, the teachers, if you're purchasing teacher services, those will be with the original Lincoln courses. They will not be the customized courses that your district may have modified at all. These will be on the Lincoln's LMS with the original courses. I hope that helps. And all the courses are asynchronous. I see that was the next question.
Great question, y'all. So in our state requires as a digital provider that our teachers are fully certified, but we also go and meet that requirement that they have to have the background checks to be able to be part of a partnership with us that we offer to you. Okay.
Okay, Mel, we've got a couple more questions here from Patty. She's asking, where can we find the eResources digital learning course catalog again? Where was that located?
That's on our website, correct, Pam?
Yes. And you can use the PowerPoint you're going to receive, that little CTE on option D, that's a link. You can click on that, it'll take you there.
Okay, and I was going to say I did share out that link first thing, but I can reshare that, say midpoint, to make sure people just recently joined.
So guys, we will include a direct link that goes to the page in our website. When we send you this PowerPoint, everyone that received an invitation for today will also receive a link to the PowerPoint. And I'm sure Trent's already put that in the chat box, as well as the recording, a link to the recording. And Trent, let's include a direct link to our e-resources piece so they don't have to look for that. It is linked off of our APSRC.net website, y'all, but we'll include a direct link. That's the third thing we'll do. These are great.
I was going to say, Mel, we've got a couple of more questions if you have time. All right. Marilyn is asking the question, in K2, is there any science of reading content?
So that's a great question, Marilyn. So what we're doing right now with Lincoln is in the cycle this year with the department for review on alignment in the K2 and 3-6 world of their curriculum to the science of reading. So let's let them work through that process and see what that returns on us. But they are in the cycle for review this year with their content for the it was submitted for K2 as well as 3-6. So we hopefully will have some information to share on that specific about Lincoln. One of the things that I'll talk about that I'll address now, but I was going to address at the end of the presentation of on the horizon piece, is we are also in the process of securing a partnership for many of our interested parties in our state with another partner that will have, that's already on the state approved science of reading list. Okay. So we'll release that information once that partnership is in place, but that's to be able to provide the additional wraparound supports with them. And it's a vendor that many of you are already familiar with, but we need to finalize that partnership before we release it. So that gives you options through APSRC to have access to an approved science of reading partner for the curriculum needs in K2 as well, digital curriculum needs in K2 as well as 3-6. Did that answer the question? Great questions, y'all. Where are we, Trent? We ready to go on?
Okay, I think we're good now. Yep, we're all caught up.
So now we want to transition over to Jeana Williams, and let's examine a little bit closer what the solutions can look like.
Thanks, Mel. So we're going to really dig into the option A and option B. And as Mel mentioned, the resources being provided include the K-12 digital content and a learning management system. The digital content you can think of as a digital textbook. It can be used in a face-to-face setting and in a virtual setting. Teachers will not only have access to the course content that they teach, but they will also have access to the full digital library. The digital library contains all of the Lincoln Learning content for every available course that we have. This is helpful as we identify learning targets that need to be addressed due to learning loss. Teachers will be able to locate appropriate content in order to personalize and meet the individual student needs through the digital library. So for example, if you teach 5th grade math and recognize the need to reinforce content from 4th grade math, you can go into the digital library, search the content within the 4th grade math course, and then pull it into your course and assign it to appropriate students. This allows the teachers to truly customize the learning experience. So training and support services will be provided during the summer and all throughout the next school year in both virtual and face-to-face settings.
So course customizations that were made during the current school year will be preserved as we told you they would and made available for access in year 2. What this means is if a teacher added or made changes to the existing Lincoln content, the change will be archived for access by the same teacher as long as that teacher remains in the same building. Access will function similarly to how teachers currently access the digital library to pull in content.
Okay, and next on the list is the shell course. So what is a shell course? Why might we need a shell course? A shell course is basically an empty structure, or in other words, a course with no content in the LMS. This allows the teacher to address the necessary and appropriate content, maybe teacher created content or maybe something pulled from the digital library in order to build their own course. One example for the use of a shell would be to build the Arkansas history course. The use of the LMS even allows the teacher to create within the system itself. They can create activities, assessments, discussion boards, and so much more, and add it to an empty course to build a course of their own. A shell course can also be used, can be created for collaboration among teachers. So in this setting, teachers enrolled in a shell course together can share content within their team, and they can use it as a virtual meeting space for planning and preparation. So for example, if you have your 3rd grade team and you want them to have a course where they can share 3rd grade material, they can be in it. You can create a shell course and they can add their own content. For online resources, tutorials are available both from the teacher perspective as well as the student perspective. The tutorials were created based on frequently asked questions, so we recommend that classroom teachers watch both the student and teacher tutorials. There's a lot of power can be gained from watching the student tutorials. Gives the teacher the understanding of what questions they may be faced with from students, as well as what it looks like from the student side. Videos under the online resources, videos are instructional and they're embedded within the content. The quick start guides are also known as job aids, and these are documents for teachers on really everything on how to use the system or the learning management system or the tools, or and they're documents that can be easily followed in a step-by-step process with screenshots to show click here, click here. So lots of online resources.
Hey, Jeana, this is Trent. I have a question that just came in from Claire. She's
Okay.
asking the archived course in Lincoln Learning that will be available to teachers next year. Is it the master course, derivative, or both?
Oh, good question. Mel, do you want to answer that one?
Well, that's a great question. Claire, I plan on capturing all because I know that teachers might have used customizations only in derivatives this year. So the naming conventions, I know you're familiar with those. We will use the exact same naming conventions to archive the content. So whether they did it at the base course or whether they did it at the derivative, it'll be there. We're simply going to do that and capture and preserve it, adding the word, I think Kendall decided to add the word archive to the end so that we have, in a year, so that we have a record of it, like a library system. But we plan to do both because we realize that some teachers did not use their base course when they only had one section. And so they may have done all their customizations in the derivative. Great question. So at the very bottom of this screen is the part on one roster enrollment services. And since some of you may not be aware of that, that was a value-added piece that APSRC brought to the table outside of the grant. And it basically lets us partner with our schools. And we're going to continue that partnership with schools that want it for automatic rostering services. And this basically allows student and teacher user accounts and enrollments to automatically be generated using eSchools for source data and a set of crosswalk courses and automatically get populated into the learning management system. So going forward, we want to share some really good information with you that we have seen Lincoln be responsive to, you know, a lot of it came from our surveys, a lot of it come from sharing out through our collaboratives, but going forward into this summer and next school year, schools are going to be excited to learn about many new enhancements and features that Lincoln Learning is releasing. One major new option is the option to choose auto-graded asynchronous courses. We talked about that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that highlight looks like, but there'll be an active link when you get this PowerPoint to actually go out and look. I'll just show you where it is to see that it's not just a limited, it's quite a selection of content that they are creating to function as an auto-graded piece of content. So this is not to replace what's also going to be available that you're familiar with. This is just a solution that if you need an auto-graded course, that content is going to have this many options available to you. Okay, that's part of the grant piece that they're doing. Okay. So let's talk about what that is. So I'm going to give you about 6 highlights of what an auto-graded course, a synchronous auto-graded course would look like. Courses that are auto-graded will contain online assessments that are automatically graded through the learning management system. Each question will contain detailed and supportive feedback for correct and incorrect answers. There is no wait time for feedback, which appears right after the student submits the assessment. Assessments will include leveled knowledge questions from recall to evaluation to test a range of knowledge and skills. Students are able to retry assessments immediately to strengthen and master core knowledge. Students are not required to upload or submit any work as you were familiar this year with the process in the original content design. So let me explain. This will allow for more frequent engagement and feedback, like formative assessment type data for students. There is going, and we'll teach y'all how to do this. There will be a set of defaults on how they get created, but the ability to customize that creation is still going to rely on your lab. You're still the pilot of that design. So there are course defaults. There have to be. Anytime you spin up a digital course, there has to be. But the ability to choose how many times that kid engages in an opportunity to retry, the ability to deny them an opportunity to see the answers if you're wanting that to have greater validity in the process, the ability to pull in some customized pieces that you designed this year, that's still all going to be there. So you will still have the ability to customize the course. But this is an additional piece that I think will be very viable, especially for students that may have struggled with knowing how to upload work from an offline set of tools. Okay. On the video piece, Lincoln has undergone an effort to replace all under construction videos. Now, these aren't the tutorials. This is like instructional content, pieces of a video that support the instruction and content of the course. So students will be provided with quality replacements to supplement their learning and education experience. Students will encounter a mix of Lincoln Learning Solutions videos and videos from third-party partners. BioClips is an example. In addition to other components that are found throughout Lincoln's empowered curriculum. The correlation documents that you ask about, we had those for all core content subjects last year. They're out there on our website, math, ELA, science, and social studies, but they weren't by design already existing at K2. We have those now for math and ELA. Those will be linked out later this afternoon. They're very hot off the press in design. A correlation document simply says, here are the Arkansas standards. They also outline the national standards, and they align that to what lesson do you find that standard in the content at kindergarten and first and second grade for math and ELA. So that's no different than what we used when we had, textbooks that we used. We sat down, we looked at our resources, our textbooks, and we determined whether or not all the content was in fact covered in the textbook. We identified where it might be, but it might be weak, and we might need to pull in supplements into our curriculum. So that's what a correlation document is for you to use. It's there to help you determine alignment, which lessons, and how you may need to layer in some additional supplements. Okay. Pacing.
Now, before we start on the next subject, I did have an incoming question here from Sally Bennett. She's asking, will any additional apps be necessary to access enhancements? First question. And then second question, are there any device limitations?
No additional apps are needed, Miss Sally, for any of that. It'll still function the same way. This is just shoring up and doing some enhancements within the course design. As far as the correlation documents, they're just out there as a PDF or Excel spreadsheet on our website that you can pull. What was the other question?
Device
Second,
limitations.
yeah, was just, are there any device limitations?
Oh, and Sally, that's a really great question, because I know Trent is positioned to be able to speak on that as well. Since this is a web-based type solution for students, if they can get on the internet with a device, it tends to function well. We did have a few situations on iPad where the operating system was outdated. It was a very old operating system, and it wouldn't allow the. Trent, do you want to speak on that so I don't mess it up?
Well, again, that was kind of early on. I think there's been some workarounds that the schools have come up with on their own. But yes, and this was kind of in our initial, when we first did the trainer of trainers session, when we first rolled this out, there was a discussion about iPads maybe not being compatible with every piece or functionality of the LMS. So I think we've done a good job on workarounds, but no, that's probably the only thing. We have run into a few issues.
Most of the time it was because we had an older device that wasn't able to be updated. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
And that's just a limitation with technology in general. But as far as how it functioned for students outside of, okay, someone needs to put their background mic if they don't hear. I've got a conversation in the background. You can help me.
I was gonna say, Mel, you're kind of cutting out audio wise. I'm not sure what's
Can you
going
put
on.
audience members so that we don't capture the background conversation? Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Pacing guides, let's move on into that. So the pacing guides, I want to let you know that Lincoln's actually made some improvements to the pacing guides. This actually will provide greater accessibility for teachers and administrators. The revised versions will contain live updates, and they can be downloaded as a PDF or Excel document with the ability to search, isolate, and manipulate the data in the spreadsheet. And some enhancements to Lincoln's website. They are launching a new website that will host a new support center. They're going to have a larger, bigger FAQ section, a fully searchable help center that elevates their existing knowledge base. And most importantly, they're going to have a live chat feature to expedite support directly for students, parents, and administrators.
Mel, we did receive one additional question from Sydney. She's asking, with all the new modifications, will the due dates match the enrollment dates?
And this was the least.
So due dates are controlled at the teacher level. So I'm not sure I understand the question. There is no due dates by design in a standard course when it gets created. So I may not quite understand her question. That will be left up. We will be pulling in out of eSchool this year start and stop dates within the terms in the school system, unlike last year. So we'll have the first day of school, when first 9 weeks in, when second 9 weeks begin. So that will provide greater detail and clarity in the system as to when your course starts and how it progresses through the school year. So maybe that answers your question. But as far as actually when a teacher wants to control an assignment is due, that's left up to the teacher level.
Mel, she did want to clarify. She said this is pertaining to on the purchased courses.
Oh, great question.
I didn't know if Pam might be able to answer that.
Yeah, so I would like you to, so I don't know that I can answer that. So if you don't care, I would like to research that with Pam and Joey on option D is what you're asking about, so that I don't confuse people on that. So let's explore that one. You're going to see contact information in a minute for Joey. She specifically handles our option D pieces, and I'd like to follow up with her to see how that gets answered. Great question, hun. I'm going to transition over to Jeana.
Okay, professional learning opportunities. We are designing specific training based upon the models that are selected by the school. So for example, it may be a novice school or a school that is new to using the resources. Some will be 100% virtual, maybe blended learning, protected time for teacher planning, or schools using various platforms. APSRC will provide tiered specialized training during the summer to prepare for full implementation, and teachers will have time to establish lesson plans for the upcoming year. Some examples of specialized trainings that are to come will include leadership training. It's designed for a school or district leadership team. A team training that's designed to focus on using learning management system tools to build and sustain adult collaborations. Student perspective training, where the teacher will experience the curriculum as a student. We'll have on-demand recordings that can be used through PLC collaborative conversation time. We will do some live and recorded trainings targeted on transitioning from application to innovation. And we will be doing some specialized training based on identified topics such as special education, pre-AP and AP, student-focused solutions, virtual tutoring, teacher-level communications with parents, and learning strategies. So please watch for communications on upcoming training dates and locations.
And one that I just want to add to that, Jeana, before we wrap up, I want to add that we are working on trying to build out through our shell course capability a Science of Reading Resources and Strategies course. Remember us visiting with some of our experts on that, and creating that so that it can actually be shopped local by our school teachers and used and embedded in specific grade level reading Lincoln Learning coursework. So wraparound supports that we can possibly help create and make available to our schools, we're going to do that. In our mind, teachers could access and utilize some Science of Reading strategies where applicable and appropriate as we all work together in support of our statewide initiative.
Mel, we just had a quick question here about, what about GT services?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, that's something we would like to explore, and we are open to partnering with any district that wants us to help grow that. But the capability exists as far as within the systems we have to be able to create some support strategies for gifted and talented, if that's what they're speaking about, and making that available. Am I hitting the question there? Am I responding? Can you give me some clarity? Because I don't see the chat box.
Well, from that standpoint, she said thank you, but she also had an add-in to some other comments saying possibly K2 enrichment, 3rd through 5th or 5th grade pull out prior to pre-AP/AP.
Yeah,
so that might be some other ideas.
I think that's extremely great. So Jeana, will you make a note about how we may want to explore that? Because that's a need. That's part of the spectrum of the students we will serve, and we do not want to forget that opportunity because we have systems and tools that can do it, and we've got great educators to partner with on developing that.
Mhm.
Okay. So to put this back in front of you again, just to recap what we shared today, we're trying to do things in bite-sized pieces. There are options available now to support digital learning needs going forward that range from digital curriculum content that a district might choose to use as a supplement for blended learning options this fall, as well as a complete solution to meet virtual learning needs during our transition to next year. So here is the slide that you're going to want to take your little phone, take a picture of real quick, or do a screenshot. Option D that we were talking about with the e-resources piece, and also the a la carte option C where you're adding a teacher. This piece is going to need to be directed through our person named as Joey Ketchum. Joey has been with APSRC for a long time, and she's amazing at being able to help schools work through this unique set of options that are available to them. She can be reached directly with the phone asking for Joey, and she can be emailed, and she's very responsive to emails on that. And Pam did a really great job showing you, and we'll include that. I hope y'all don't mind, but the same large distribution people that we invited, we will push out the PowerPoint. Trent is really good about capturing the YouTube link. As soon as it's available tomorrow, hopefully we'll push that in there with that email, as well as a direct link into our website. I will add in the piece for the correlation documents, the new K2, so you have a direct link into that, and as well as e-resources library if that's of interest to you. And then we will also put a copy of our recording on our website. So I want to share some information with you. We're trying to do this in a batch process. We know you have a lot to think about as we're in a transition into maybe a more normal school year, we hope. Things that are on the horizon that I want to be able to talk about with you in a couple of weeks. Learning management options. We're exploring some really cutting edge, innovative options that would offer some expanded solution of supports to our schools. I don't want to try to cloud today's presentation with that, but I want to place it out there and say, I need you to check back with me in a couple of weeks. We're going to do another presentation at the end of April, And we're going to share more information about what these options could look like for you. It would include the capabilities of having diagnostic data integration into the same system, which I think would be a huge piece. It would have been for me as a classroom teacher, building leader, and district leader, and actually as a former state assessment director. Nothing would excite me more than to be able to put into your hands in one system the through-year diagnostic data on your students, and you be able to see that alongside making personalized pathways for curriculum. Another option that we're learning about that we may be able to bring to the table for y'all very soon is within the same system, not having to go out into a separate email server system, but being able to have two-way communication between your students and your parents within the same system. And then performance-based pathways, which I alluded to. This is a very personalized approach to, very similar to as you think of how adaptive testing works for students, to be able to know what their zone of proximal learning actually is. Same thing from a curricular lens in performance-based pathways. Also, what is underway right now is the creation of a digital gap curriculum for our schools. This would be in the areas of math and ELA in grades K through 8, designed around the identified essential learning targets and standards. DESI has a playbook out there. We're using that same information that you use to be able to create a condensed, more concise curriculum of what students should know and be able to do as they arrive to the next grade. We'll talk more about that opportunity and how we can share that out with you so that you can plan for that information in our next Zoom meeting as well. And then we are doing on a statewide but smaller scale, offering a summer virtual academy. Then we're going to work with some of our partnership schools that have shown interest in that to create an outcomes-based academy for specifically identified students who would use this gap curriculum, who would have measures to be able to chart growth and maybe create a model that is supported with academic coaches that we could then share out at the beginning of school with all districts. So just some of the things that we're trying to be responsive to meet the needs of the students in our state and the needs that you face in your schools and districts. We want you to know we're trying to stay on the cutting edge for you, and we want to share this information and more. But that is in a different slice of time, and I ask you to save that time. We'll send the invite out for it for Wednesday, April 28th. That's when we can cover more information and really put a focus on that on the horizon detail piece.
Mel, I was going to say, do you have time for a couple more questions? From Sydney, she asked the question, will they be offering any services to meet special education student needs, specifically their minute requirements as well as severe needs?
No, because at that point, I mean, unless you're purchasing some type of teacher-led service, that still resides within the leadership and the teacher in the school district to meet that demand. I really believe I'm saying that correctly. Jeana, do you want to expand on that?
There will be things that you can do within the system, but to meet the student minutes, that's going to have to be contact with the teacher.
Yeah, the solution A and B is about content and learning management system, and those tools can assist you in documenting and making those opportunities trackable. How's that? But they don't replace what that teacher does as far as being able to provide the supports that are required in an IEP or a 504 plan. So those options won't be replacing that. You can speak specifically if you have a question about the a la carte option C, where you're securing a teacher piece, or option D with Joey to see how that is addressed. But those are really great questions. They are. And sometimes they're very challenging questions in a digital world, especially if that student is not in front of us.
Okay, Mel, I've got one additional question as I go down the list here. This is from Brian, and I think we know him. This is Brian Swim from Russellville. He says, how would you compare the Lincoln Learning teacher-led courses to something like virtual Arkansas courses?
I'll let Jeana. Jeana, you want to speak on that?
Okay, thank you.
On the teacher-led courses?
You sure?
I
Good. Thank you for returning.
I'm happy to jump in if you'd like me
yeah,
to.
yeah, probably.
This is Pam, by the way.
Pam,
So,
can
you have a
you,
chance to see it
audience, Grant, we're recording a conversation, hon.
Who's talking? I wasn't me.
I think that was Melody. Mel, what was your question again? Or
Yes.
comment?
I needed you to mute our audience participants because we
Oh.
were hearing a conversation that's not you or Pam.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, what I was going to say about the comparison, there are always going to be similarities between any teacher-led course. Certain aspects are going to be across the board the same. One difference I do know about our teacher-led versus Virtual Arkansas is that we don't have any limits on numbers with enrollment. So if you want to enroll one student in one course, you can do that. If you want to enroll 1,000 students in 4 courses, you can do that. Again, no contract, you just have to commit to it by enrolling the students. I haven't reviewed the Virtual Arkansas courses as far as the content, how they compare with regard to quality. But again, if you would like to see demos, we're happy to share those, and you can cross compare if you'd like something like that. I hope that helps, Brian.
Yeah, that is helpful. I know we're going to have to use Virtual Arkansas for any course. Well, we don't have to now because it sounds like we could look at Lincoln Learning, but any course that I don't have a teacher that's licensed to teach, I have to look somewhere else to get it virtually. And so I'm trying to figure out, our plan was Virtual Arkansas, but this sort of opens up possible new opportunities. And so I'm just trying to figure out, now do we offer these instead? Do we offer both? I just don't know. I know a little more about that because we've done it before, but as far as like teacher availability, things like that, I just don't know about Lincoln Learning because we've never done it. So
Right.
I'll definitely, want to learn more about that because
Well,
I'd
if
rather
you-
our kids be in the same system. The problem with Virtual Arkansas is now our kids are using Buzz and they're using Canvas.
Canvas.
And it'd be great if I could keep them in Buzz so they're not having to use 2 systems.
Correct. I did put my email address in the chat, Brian. So if you have other questions, feel free to send those to me and share them with the team, and we'll get answers about all of that. And again, just keep in mind, you can also see demos anytime.
This is Marilyn from Yeovil Summit, and we use Virtual Arkansas as well as Lincoln Learning courses. One difference that I've encountered with my high school students with Lincoln Learning has to do with the deadlines, because we do the purchasing, the teacher, and the course. In Lincoln Learning, they've not kept, up until now, but it sounds like this is a change that they're going to make, is we have it separated by 9 weeks and by semester. That's real important when we get to our high school age students because of issuing credit. So that's a great change from your end, because that was a problem that I've been encountering all year this year, is about issuing credit.
And that is with the purchase service of both teacher and course, right? Is that to clarify that?
Yes, that is correct.
So we will explore any clarifications that we can give out in our next session on the 28th as follow-up to your really great questions to you. I'm glad to hear that we are being responsive, and what we're trying to do is give you guys options. And we truly value the partnerships that we have made and the relationships we've formed in a really hard year. And we appreciate everything that you guys have done for students in our state and teachers as well. We're trying to keep that moving forward for you to make things not more difficult, but less difficult. And also be able to provide the wraparound support that we've done all year for you as far as training and support. So great to have all of y'all join today, and look forward to maybe getting you to join again at the end of this month for more information. Please send your questions in, specifically the ones about the teacher purchase pieces, to Joey and to Pam as well. And we will internally go over all of those to make sure that we have a set of answers for you in our next session. Anything else, Trent?
No, Mel, everything looks good.
Okay, thank you. Look for this in the next day, hopefully, that we can get this recording out to you, and we greatly appreciate it.